Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Go! Now let's hit the field and start the show. America!
What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Today we got plenty of stuff to talk about as we dive into the world of Club America. We'll be talking about the squad and whether or not we're going to have a couple of foreigners leave the team or if they're just not going to be on the books for this season. And then, of course, we're going to give you guys all the latest news and updates ahead of the Querétaro match, preview that game, get you guys up and ready for that Thursday night kickoff. And as always, joining me today, it is none other than Brooklyn's very own AJ and Cristian Rosendo, all the way from New York. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing good, thank you. Monday, what a better way to start my Monday off by talking everything Club America.
Definitely. Cristian, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Ivan. Thank you. I hope everyone here is doing well. 4 days away from the start of the season, so I'm very excited.
Definitely. Lots and lots of reason to be excited. Lots of reasons also to be very skeptical about this team, but we'll get into that in just a second. But joining us today to help us preview and talk all things America, it is none other than LA Times' very own Fidel Martinez. Fidel, all the way from LA. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Just trying to survive this LA heat wave, which means 85-degree weather. It's terrible.
It is 85 over there with you. It is 100 outside for me. All right, and we're like an hour away from each other.
Yeah,
so that heat,
it's crazy. It really is crazy, right? How much the temperature changes like the further you get from the ocean.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as you pass a certain point in the 91, you might as well just turn back because it's too hot. So, but yeah. Glad to have you on. Really excited.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Glad to have always an Americanista on here to talk Águilas del América, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the team because we do get to see your tweets here and there on the timeline whenever America does play. So I'm excited to pick your brain out a little bit and see what your thoughts on Solari's second go at this tournament with America. So it should be an interesting one. But gentlemen, let's jump right into it. Really nothing much to talk about other than squad updates. Cristian, this is where you come to shine. Any updates, any rumors potentially of someone coming in, someone leaving? What's going on in and around Solari's camp over in Coapa? Are we gonna have everyone registered by Thursday, or are we gonna have to do some modifications towards the latter stages of this month?
We are America, so nothing ever gets done on time. So basically things have happened. Things took a full 360 since last time we were on. Last time we discussed the possibilities of Renato Ibarra staying with America, and then but the goal was still to get him a new team just because of prior issues with the board. It has come to light now that in the past couple of days that's now not the case anymore. They're trying extra hard now, putting all their effort into relocating Nicolas Benedetti so they can actually register Renato Ibarra for the next season. I don't know still the reasoning behind this, why everyone is taking the full 360 turn, but that seems to be like the big thing right now, that they're putting all their effort into relocating Benedetti so Ibarra can play with the first team next season.
This is an interesting development that's kind of been arising for the past couple of days, right? It's been the talk of Benedetti potentially leaving, especially since he's not 100% just yet, to fully be ready for kickoff on Thursday. And then it looks like Renato Ibarra, from what, signs point out, that he would be willing to, not him willing to, I know he is, but it looks like Solari's willing to fit him into the squad somehow. Interesting, we have here Jacob Leao saying, we have until Jornada 4 to sign someone from Liga MX, but correct me if I'm wrong, Cristian, they would have not had to play any minutes with their team.
I think that's a rule, yes.
And until September to sign any foreigners, which, by the way, I already told you guys, don't get your hopes up. We are not going to be signing any more foreigners, at least for this season. Maybe winter, but this season I don't see it happening. Fidel, I'm curious to hear your opinion in regards to this whole Renato Ibarra kind of 360 turn. It looked like he was going to be a player that was no longer ever going to be wearing an America jersey, but it looks like now, due to situations because of bad contracts that we've had, he's going to have to stay with America and most likely may even see some minutes in the Apertura.
I actually really am excited for that. I feel like he has some potential, and I feel like now that he's going to be given playing time, it could pay off. Obviously, there are a lot of questions, but I think it's an exciting development for me. I feel like
interesting. AJ, what do you fall on this spectrum?
Mixed. Especially after the situation that did happen with Renato Ibarra. So it has a lot of America fans not want him, while others, now that he's coming back, it seems like everyone seems to be on board, especially with the situation we currently have at America, with Leo Suarez. Everyone just seems they do not like him. And now that Ibarra is going back to America and seems to be in the roster for the upcoming season, everyone say that's a complete upgrade. They're excited to see him back. So a little bit iffy on it, but it's always nice to have competition on the right-hand side with Leo Suarez.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. And funny enough, we're answering Jacob's question without even actually acknowledging it first. But I think I fall more on Fidel's side of things. It is a kind of very interesting development. And this is a player that before, his injury and after that, what happened in his own personal life, this was arguably the best player that America had in the team. This is a guy that's dynamic and has speed potential. Like, yeah, I get it. He didn't have the best season in Atlas, but I mean, who did in Atlas, right? So
good point. Very good point.
So is what I'm trying to say is that I think, look, we were all ready to throw out Roger Martinez off the boat and never see him ever again in an America jersey. And look, 6 months down the line, he's arguably the best player in the team now. So who's to say that Solari can't do the same type of magic he did on Roger with Renato Ibarra, who understands the club, has been with the team longer than Roger has, that he understands his role. He understands what this institution stands for, and what he's a competitive player that, if it wasn't for his kind of situation, would have most likely been in Copa America. So it's gonna be an interesting development. But I do fall on Fidel's side of things, where this could be potentially something very exciting that could maybe feel like a new signing, because we're not going to bring in anyone. And Christian, this better than anyone else, following the team so close as you do with regards to transfers. There's no one coming in from outside. That we're going to have to do all of our work within our own league. And even then, we're scrambling just to shuffle out some players. And that's going to be the most frustrating thing about it. So I think Renato Ibarra coming into it might help the situation. And I know Chris Rivera saying over here that Renato takes over Leo Suarez's spot easily. I don't think it works that fast, but I do think that he would push Leo Suarez to maybe even be better than what he is, because we've known that internal competition is exactly what Solari, aims for. And so, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I don't know, Christian, what do you fall in all of it?
No, I think I agree with both you and Fidel. I think this could be an interesting take for this season. Just because prior to this, we kind of thought we were going to be stuck with Leo Suarez the whole season, and that just didn't really sit well with me, knowing that probably there's better options out there. But listen, the internal competition can bring out the best in people. If Solari can kind of get Renato back to the way he was pre-injury, like you said, I think this is only positive things for America, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And hopefully, he does make the first team, and hopefully he does get consistent minutes with us and stays with us, because Ivan, you said it perfectly. Before everything, he was definitely a top player in America, and you saw what he injured, and you saw what he could do in those 23 minutes that he played against Monterrey in that final. So it's definitely exciting, and I'm just trying to see where this goes from now.
Well, and can I just add really quickly? I mean, it's also, he's coming from a situation in which it was assumed that he wasn't going to be here, right? And all of a sudden he's like, just kidding, JK, you're here. Like, that's got to be a motivator, right? And like, it's a motivator that, I think it's creating a situation in which he now feels he needs to prove something to him, not just to himself, but to the fandom. So I think it's definitely, I think it has a lot of upside. So yeah,
100%.
I agree, and I think that there's gonna be, it can all point to two different directions. It can point to Renato Ibarra having a stellar season under Solari, or it can point to him kind of just being, a bit underwhelming and more of a reason to get rid of him in the offseason during winter. But right now the situation is as it is. We can't offload players, and we seem to have overbooked our roster with foreigners, and now we're scrambling to find places and for these players. One of them being mentioned, Benedetti. Any word as to maybe who is a potential front runner for Benedetti right now?
There's seems rumors that a couple MLS teams are interested, but it's just the kind of terms of the contract that America wants isn't favorable for the teams that are interested in him. So that's why everything's taking a kind of a standstill position right now. And same thing with Castillo. It's just no one really wants to pay Castillo what he's making right now. So especially with everything that's going on with him, it just seems like too much of a risk for a lot of teams, and no one wants to take it on.
Yeah, look, I think the most frustrating thing about all of this is that we have been talking about America needing to get the job done in regards to finding home and offloading these foreign players for what, a little bit over a month now. We are 3 days away from the start of the season, and where I believe we need to we need to register the team, I think by the latest Wednesday, and we still have yet to figure out that situation as to who's leaving. And so that, I think, is the most frustrating thing about it, and I think that's what the fans are mostly frustrated about it is, not having a clear understanding of what this team is going to be like, what's it going to look like, and that's what I think is the most frustrating thing about it all. Can you imagine what Solari feels like, though? Like, I bet you he was promised, like, don't worry, we're gonna get rid of Aguilera, and we're gonna bring in whoever you want in center back and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, he's stuck with Renato Ibarra and Leo Suarez on the right-hand side instead of bringing Brian Ocampos or Cristo, And it was just like, I think that's the frustrating thing about it all, is that Solari too at one point must feel frustrated and be like, what you guys promised me all of this and you guys can't deliver on nothing.
Just to not give anyone any false hope, but the window is still there. It's still open to bring someone in. It's just, Ivan, like you said, there's no action of people leaving. People want to talk, including players in deals, but like no one wants to take on the current contracts of these three players, which makes it that much harder to kind of get rid of them and bring someone in return. Anything can happen. We have until like I think our good friend Jacob said earlier, we have until September, the end of September, but it doesn't seem likely though.
No, we have until the start of September because the transfer window closes on August 31st.
You're right. Sorry, I said end, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I said end.
Sorry. I was like, that's too much hope to give, Christian, and that's something we can't promise on this podcast.
Whole month of August, basically.
Yeah, I promise you, we're not gonna get it done. Somehow they're gonna stay on the books, and we're just gonna have to end up paying those wages. And again, that's just gonna hurt us for the winter transfer window because there's not gonna be any more money. Any other updates? I know you just mentioned Nico Castillo. There was nothing really there. It looks like the Viña situation's died down. Not really talking about that anymore.
Yeah, no.
So it looks like for the
play Thursday.
I'm sorry.
He's ready.
He's ready. Yeah, he's ready to play Thursday. I think that's it, right? In regards to updates and rumors in regards to the club.
That's pretty much it.
Interesting. Well, literally nothing changed from last week to this week. Nothing's changed whatsoever. I think that's the frustrating thing about it. Fidel, I'm curious now to get from you kind of, your perspective on this America side, because it really is a unchanged side. You look at the inclusions of Salvador Reyes, Miguel Ayun, and Madrigal. That's really it. But they took places of other players that were already there. This is basically still the same team from last. How are you going into this season?
I'm actually strangely okay with it. I think this is going to be. I mean, look, we're talking about this is like Solari's second season with the club, right? And I feel like what better way to measure his like progress than by like keeping things as they are, so that you could have a sample size to see if there's actually progression with this coach or not.
Definitely.
And I mean, I think last year, I gotta say they did a lot better than I expected. Granted, I'm kind of a pessimist, because I just assume my teams are just gonna do terrible, and that's an offshoot from like growing up in Texas and being a Cowboys fan. So I'm just like, I just assume the worst, So given that he's a relatively green coach, I mean, obviously he comes from Europe, but it's not like he was coaching at the top tier, So I feel like, given how the team performed last season, and I saw it as a good thing, and I'm really curious to see if there's progression there, or hopefully they don't regress. So hopefully, like, I'm cautiously optimistic.
That's a good way of putting it, really, and I don't think a lot of people would have spent it that way. I know I wouldn't, because I feel still that this is a Miguel Herrera side that Solari has unfortunately had to kind of foster. And so now we're here thinking, like, what would this team be if Solari could, dismantle and put it back together the way he wanted to? But I think Fidel's argument is still something very valid, that it goes to show us, okay, let's keep this core the same and let's see how much we can progress. We knew what we had last season, and we got all the way up to that, quarterfinals, and where things go differently, who knows what would be. But at least we know kind of where the bar stands, and knowing that we have to surpass it. Now, let's not forget what we did in the regular season. We were shy of 41 points because of an Atlas mistake of registering Viñas for the bench. And that alone, I mean, I think we all tend to forget that because of what happened against Pachuca. But again, the bar is there to surpass quarterfinals, but also the bar in the regular season is very high, to be honest. And if they can equal that or even surpass that, then okay, we're looking in pretty good tip-top shape. And I think Solari understands. And we haven't heard his press conference yet, because he'll be giving one most likely tomorrow, because the team will have to travel on Wednesday. But you hear him talking, he's not afraid of the challenge, he's very much up for it, and he has an odd way of saying the right things at the right time, and it kind of gives the fans a little bit of okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, and it's not some angry short man just yelling at reporters saying,
Yeah, for real. It's definitely a different vibe with Solari,
Oh man, but hey, we'll have to wait and see. But interesting enough, now, gentlemen, how do you guys feel about the squad, knowing that it's the same coming into the new season, second round with Solari? I'm just curious to hear your guys' thoughts, knowing that this is still basically the same squad.
Just me about how I feel about this squad. Like Fidel said, that I'm actually okay with this squad. Solari seems to have an idea of what his players are and what formation he puts them, how they fit into his tactics, and it feels like at this point now, this second time's a charm at this point. And considering as well how he did say, and I will reiterate this over and over again, he said from last season on the press conference, we're going for the championship. Expect that. And I feel like with this squad of players, in all honesty, midfield's pretty solid. Up front, when healthy, very solid squad. This is us just hoping to just break that threshold, just being able to just score more than just 1 or 2 goals. But I just feel like defense is a bit shaky at times, but remember, this is the same defense that's also lifted us our 13th title with Bruno Valdez and Emmanuel Aguilera. Those guys right there are your center backs, really. There's not really much replacement for them besides Sebastian Casas. But all in all, I feel like this squad can definitely be shaped to something, and we were one of the top defensive sides last season. So I can do anything with this team, and I feel like this time around, he definitely can change these around again, make even more improvements from the previous season.
Definitely. And I think, talking about center backs here, Chris points out something very interesting. The pressure is on Bruno getting back into form. If it happens, I expect us getting to the final, him and Cáceres as starters. Interesting. Christian, your take on this team?
I think it's pretty much the same as last year. I think that we can be solid up front. I think we have all the right tools and just the right mindset to get us being a good offensive team. It's just the defense. Once again, I think that towards the latter part of the season, our defense kind of fell off. I think it was kind of noted by everyone that we weren't the same team as we were in the beginning of the season. So I think that's going to be crucial for this one to kind of just maintain that form of good run throughout the whole season. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, but I think we have players, and I think new players that come in can provide that extra help to get us there when players are maybe slacking off, not doing so well. We have definitely young, hungry backups to come up and prove themselves. So I think we're going to be fine. I think we have the right team to win the title. It's just hopefully getting everything aligned and just making the best of what we have. And that's what we did last year. And with the reincorporations of the Olympic people that aren't here right now, I think this team can only get better than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, only way from here now is up because of what we've been capable of seeing. But I don't know. I want to feel as optimistic as the three of you here, but it's just something inside me is just telling me no. I don't like the way that the board has handled this situation.
No one does, but
but it's just, I feel like it's been stacking on year after year after year that it ultimately ended up in this huge snowball effect that now we're in the situation where we can't even think about an outside market because we can't even take care of what's in our own backyard, and that's what I think frustrates me the most. It's not to say that I don't think we have a talented team. I don't think we. You might disagree with me, Christian, but I don't think we're as stacked. I think in regards to depth, as many people would like you to think you are.
Probably not, but I think that let's put it on paper. We probably have a top 3 midfield out of the whole league on paper. Now, if one goes down, then yes, you're right. Our options are very, very, very limited.
And I think that's the interest. That's I think the most kind of frustrating part is that we know that one, we're already missing players because of the Olympics, and fortunately, no one was there for the Gold Cup squad, so we won't be too many players down. But then you have to think about it too. The turnaround is quick as soon as these players come back from the Olympics, because then you have CONCACAF Champions League. You have that first leg against Philadelphia, and then doble jornada starts stacking up. Then you have to go up against Philly again, and so it's gonna be a quick turnaround. Everything's gonna be just quick. And also remember too, I mean, some of these players, we expect them to go play with their national teams for World Cup qualifiers as well. So, that depth is really going to start playing, taking a toll after maybe the 10th, 11th jornada. And I'm just worried that at that point, what is
like
our
the hardest part
of
the season too?
Yeah.
To get that moment, that's when the hard games begin.
Exactly. So that's why I think I'm just a little bit more on the skeptical side of things, because I do feel like, done right, we could have built a better squad and we could have head on into that tougher part of the season looking a little bit better. But hey, hashtag football news, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the counter to that though is I definitely agree with you on the point about the friendlies, or not the friendlies, I'm sorry, the qualifiers, but I mean, that's not specific to America. Other teams are also going to be losing players, so I feel like, especially like clubs like Cruz Azul, like that might be a little bit harder on them than it would be on Club America. So I'd see that sort of the counter to that. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. I do think that the regular like just the way that seasons play out, right, and all these other different obligations that you have, right, like that takes a toll on the body. So yeah, so.
It does. And not to add that, of course, 3 of our players are going to be going to the All-Star game as well. So
that's right, yeah.
add even more games to these guys' schedule. So that, I think, is going to be the interesting thing to see how Solari deals with this, right? He's going to have to manage some of these players very specifically. And we'll see what happens, because let's say Roger Martinez is tearing it up. That's a player that you're going to lose because Colombia's going to want him to be going and playing with the national team. We'll just say Cáceres doesn't step up in the center back, and now Uruguay's calling him. So I think that's something that we have to keep in mind, and we're really going to have to dig deep into our youth squad
listen, I'm looking at you, Chava Reyes. I'm looking at you, Santi Naveda, Carlos Campos. These players are going to have to note that they're most likely going to play a crucial role in this season, and I think I'm all for it. And I know AJ definitely is.
Definitely, because he knows Chucho Lopez. No, Chucho Lopez is probably going to be with Guatemala. And wait, they're not part of that final 8. Never mind.
Oh,
Chucho Lopez is going to stay.
Man, he should have been there, but broke his ankle. So
yeah, well, we'll see. But it's not to say that I don't think this team can go on a run, right? And I think if you go back and you listen to my first thoughts on Solari's team when he first was in charge, I was as skeptical as I am today. And look at that. I mean, they almost finished in first place, and if it wasn't for Cruz Azul, we'd be talking about a whole different thing, But it'll be interesting. I do want to read something off of that I thought was very hilarious. Jacob saying, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of scared of Cruz Azul this season, which Chris replies, I'm not scared of Cruz Azul, but Monterrey and the refs I do fear. Which I think we all are scared, at least of the refs, because if it's something that we haven't had luck with in the past couple of seasons, has been the refs and VAR. We'll see if things change for this upcoming season. But
yeah, I don't know if I'm that afraid of Cruz Azul. I mean, I feel like I think this is going to be one of those times in which they finally win it, and then like another decade of ineptitude.
Let's hope so.
I'm down for that. That's fine.
Well, I mean, one thing's for sure, they're gonna continue to be kind of the team to beat for a while.
Yeah.
Because of their roster and the way that they're playing. I mean, what they just ended up being campeón de campeones against León. So we'll see, but we'll cross that path when we get to it later down the season. We don't have to worry about them in such a long time. They got to take care of their own stuff because they aren't looking so hot in the transfer market either. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see. Fidel, I'm curious. How far do you think this America side gets? At least give me your prediction as to where they finish in the top in the regular season on the table, and then if and when they do make playoffs, how far did they get in the Liga?
Man, okay, so I don't think they're going to finish on top, because I do think, Cruz Azul is, but I'd say definitely, I would say in the top 4. I feel very confident about that. I feel like the club is strong enough to, I mean, like you said, last year, same squad, right? And they finished second. They would have been a top if it weren't for that, that penalty, but that deduction. But so I think they're definitely going to be, there, but I hope I'm wrong, but I think maybe the semis. I think that's how far as they go. I feel like it's giving me one of those, squad, like one of those vibes of like really good team, but they just fall short, And I hope I'm wrong. So.
Well, we all hope so too.
Yeah,
we'd all love to be in the final. We got some shout outs here saying Cari Torres coming out saying hello amigos. Hello to Miss Cari. Mary Jane saying it's okay because you guys know Cruz Azul siempre la Cruz Azulea. And no one's gonna argue with that at all. Curious. Well, let's hope. I think I agree with you. I think semifinals is exactly where we end up. Although I know these two gentlemen right here, they would much rather be in a final, but we'll have to wait and see. I think Christian has frozen. Oh, he's right back. There it is. I was like, he's grinning a lot in one place and not even moving. I don't know what he's got cooking in his mind. Let's see. We got a comment here from our beloved Cowboy Dylan saying Fidel hoping for that final like he's hoping for that Cowboy Super Bowl.
man. Can I tell you a funny story about the Cowboys, right? So I'm a huge America fan because of my dad, because I mean, as usually goes, right? That's how allegiance goes. And I'm a huge Cowboys fan, right? And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, my parents are immigrants, so like back then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make all your dreams come true, blah blah blah. So I was like, I'm gonna take you to the Super Bowl, Dad, when the Cowboys win the Super Bowl. Make it to the Super Bowl. Now, mind you, this was like 94, 95 when the Cowboys, were that. So anyway, recently I was back in Texas and I was telling him about it. It's like, hey, remember when like he was telling me about all the promises that I never delivered on, and it was like, well, hey, like the Cowboys still haven't gone to the Super Bowl, so I can still show up on that one. So, but yes, Dylan is very 100% correct.
Don't worry, he's on that same boat as you is. He's hoping for that final just as much as he's wishing for his Cowboys to make it into that Super Bowl as well. It's interesting. We got one from Alex Juarez saying, saludos Azul Cremas, los quiero ver en Philly, el podcast en vivo. That'd be an interesting thing to do. AJ, we got to make it happen. Definitely. Well, alrighty then. I think we've talked enough about the team, where we think they're going to land, how it's looking like, and if any updates do emerge, you guys know where to get your guys' daily America feed from at the Eagle Eye Podcast. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You guys be caught up to date with everything and anything going on in and around the world of America and Go Apa. Alrighty then, before we move on into our next segment, I do want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you guys by Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check out footcult.com. They got some amazing product. They just dropped some great gear. I mean, have you guys seen the shorts that they just dropped recently? My goodness. And you guys can get all of that for 10% off by using the discount code EEP at checkout. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all Foot Cult products. And again, thank you to Foot Cult for sponsoring today's episode. All right, gentlemen. Well, the start of the season is upon us now. The team will be traveling to Querétaro on, Querétaro's not so far from Mexico City, but I would imagine Solari still wants them to leave a day early so that way they can get their training done and all that stuff. So most likely the team will leave on Wednesday, and then Thursday night will be the matchup. How are we feeling about this one? Coming into this game, the Corregidora has always been a tricky situation for America. It hasn't really been the best place for us to shine, but I think that it might be a time to turn it around, especially with Solari. Christian, your thoughts on the first game of the season up against Los Gallos?
Well, I'm definitely pumped for it just on my personal note. But I think it should be a good game. I think this is a game where I think America has to go out there and prove to the league that even though they're still relatively the same team, that they're still there to be top contenders, and they just need to prove it that from the get-go. So I think it's very important that Solari kind of just goes when the whistle blows, just go out there and insert your dominance to be the protagonist in the match, and just keep it going from there.
Definitely. AJ?
Very excited. Thursday night, even though it's a weird time, for us to be playing. But hey, I can't go wrong with that. 10 p.m., much more of a reason for me to stay up late at night. Last time, we won 2-1. I'm not trying to see Martinez Sepulveda score on us again, because I cannot believe how we let a guy like him score, and I'm not looking forward to that again. Please, Emmanuel Aguilera, anyone, just don't let him score. But all in all, pretty excited. Can't wait to see what Solari puts up in his starting 11 and see what he can do against Querétaro. Like you mentioned before, always going away to Querétaro, it's tough. We did match to grab 3 points last time. Now let's do that again on Thursday.
Definitely, but those 3 points were at home, AJ. This is going to be a much, much different situation now. But it isn't the same Gallo side. I will say that much. They have had their tweaks and changes as to, no more Antonio Valencia. As he retired, he was like, I've had enough of Querétaro. I'm done for the rest of my life. And so we'll see what this Querétaro side is looking like. But Fidel, coming into this one, how are you feeling America opening their regular season against Querétaro on the road?
I was listening to the podcast that you guys, the previous episode, and you guys were talking about how they were getting like 1-0 wins. I feel like this is like a great team to break away from that, and like my prediction, I think like it's gonna be 2-1. I'm sorry, AJ, but I think that's actually what's gonna happen. But I mean, I think it's gonna be like a good way to like start. I haven't been too aware of I haven't been following the roster moves that Querétaro has done. But if I'm not mistaken, they had like the lowest payroll last season, So I feel like if they gotten worse since then like it bodes well for Las Águilas, So I feel pretty optimistic, and you know how America loves to concede those goals that are so frustrating, But hopefully it'll be like they make it 2-1, they're up 2-0, and then they give up the goal, and it's not, like a stressful, like giving up a goal. So I feel pretty good about it.
Okay, Nice, interesting. Well, if he does completely jump the gun, he got his prediction out of the way before I even asked for it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hey,
Yeah, I was just so excited.
Hey, you're switching it. You're switching it up
Yeah.
on us. You know what? We like it. We like it.
Yeah.
A little bit for AJ. Sepulveda has left, so Jacob Lau giving us a little bit of an update.
even
there.
better. Like now, the whole point, he literally cannot score against us. He's not there. So there you go.
There you go. There you go. No, I mean it's definitely a game like you mentioned, Fidel, that I think that I could see America conceding a sloppy goal. But if it's one thing I think Solari has worked on this preseason is try to keep the shape very tight at the back and not give up anything. I mean, we've gotten very fortunate in these preseason games to not concede, and we didn't even see the game against Atlante that they had behind closed doors. But I promise you, there was 1 or 2 chances that Atlante were like, "How did we not score?"
Which,
that?
by the way, we did win 1-0.
Yes, we did end up winning 1-0. So all 4 preseason games.
All 4 preseason games, 1-0.
We scored 1-0. But hey,
they're just getting them out of the way early, So
yeah.
That's okay.
Well, I think I mentioned when America was falling into this tendency last season with Solari, where it's like, oh, you're winning 1-0, 2-1, not by many goals. And I said, you know what? I would much rather see my team win 1-0 the way that they were winning and take it all the way to the end than to, see this kind of daring football, left and right, all this stuff, scoring 3-4 goals and maybe potentially conceding 2-3 also. Like, I don't know, there's something about me that says keep the clean sheet and work from there.
It's the goalie in you,
It's the goalkeeper in me, definitely. And it'll be interesting. The goalkeeper in net will be Oscar Jimenez. I mean, last time he played an official game for America, I didn't bowl so well as he had that little hiccup against Santos. But again, that was many months ago, and he's been on quite the form recently. So we'll have to wait and see what he's capable of doing. But well, I mean, now that we've signaled out a couple of players, Christian, what do you think Solari's starting 11 is going to look like?
Yeah, nothing much gonna change from last season, unless he really feels something for a new player or something. I think it's gonna go the same. I'll have Oscar Jimenez in net, Layun, Cáceres, Bruno, Fuentes in the back, Richard, Aquino, and Fidalgo in the midfield, and then Lainez, Leo Suarez, and Roger Martinez up top.
Interesting. I like it. Well, there's the predicted lineup on the screen for you guys. Well, we knew that Layun was going to get the start because of Jorge Sanchez being out with the Gold Cup. I mean, not the Gold Cup, excuse me, the Olympic squad. Interesting that Cáceres does get the start, but he has been in the preseasons. He looked very sharp. I mean, can't say the same about Aguilera, right? Fuentes, again, I think that's someone that we definitely were expecting to get the start, but Chava Reyes is definitely breathing down that man's neck. And so I expect that to change in a couple of weeks. That might just be Reyes starting in that left back spot. And then everything from there else is exactly what you mentioned, Christian, what was expected at all times. So interesting, though. Fidel. Fidel. Look at that. I'm already baptized you as Fidel. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
It's okay. We'll be willing to give you the number 10.
Funny, the one name. No, like the one name that everyone always confuses mine with is Felix, So Fidel was fine, At least you got the first 3 letters right,
Yeah, that's a win. Don't worry, we'll give you the number 10 shirt, unlike America with Fidalgo. How, seeing the starting 11, how you feeling coming into this game? If that is what,
I mean, it's on the pitch. I feel pretty good about it. Like I said, I think this is the perfect. It's like I think. I mean, it could be a trap, right, where they might be overconfident, but I don't really foresee things like. I think they're going to take care of it, and I think that roster is definitely more than capable of getting the W. So I feel pretty good about it.
Interesting. For you, who's the best player on the squad right now?
Oof. Oh man.
He's like, I'm gonna say Fidalgo because you confused me.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna pass the buck on that, because I feel like I haven't been falling much during the off season. So I feel like, new season, clean slate. So, but
I like it.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know, man. I feel like maybe it's just because like it's like it's a new season. I just feel like let's just start everything fresh, no baggage, because I feel like if you bring baggage in from the previous season, obviously there's gonna be baggage, but I feel like it's a lot better to sort of like start afresh. I don't know. That's my take.
I agree. All right, nice. I like it. Well, I mean, for the names that you put out there, Christian, I think everyone's eye is going to be on Roger Martinez, right? I think we want him to start off the season kind of the way he started off this preseason, was scoring a goal, and that was about it. Didn't really see any more goals from him. Just a couple of nice little highlights for him to put in his Ronaldinho-esque, video highlights, and that's about it. But I think Roger definitely has to step up in this matchup. I mean, AJ, for you, any other player besides Roger that needs to have a big game against Querétaro?
Honestly, I would say everyone needs to have a great game against Querétaro. That's what you want to see. You want to see the best of the best from this team. Don't want to see anyone slacking. It's against a top opposition like Querétaro, so really just want everyone to be on their A game. But I think the most part, I'm gonna be keeping my eye out on Roger Martinez. He just seems like the player that's just been having the spotlight for America, especially how last season. I'd say he was arguably one of the best players on our squad last season, and compared to what he was with Piojo before. Everyone just wanted him out. Now everyone's on the Royer Martinez train. They don't want him to leave now. They want him to keep scoring those goals and just being the player that he is, the one that we saw when he first arrived for Villarreal.
Definitely. Alrighty then, Christian.
I think the theme for the season, at least for America and for most of the players, is proving themselves. You have a lot of players here: Layun, Renato, Roger, Fidalgo, Chava Reyes. All these players coming into the team just want to prove something. I have my eyes on Fidalgo. I think that he needs to become that player for America. Having the ball on consistently, making the plays, just being literally the spotlight. I need him to be that player for us, and I think he has everything at his disposal to do it. It's just unlocking something that maybe he didn't have last season. For this season, he's gotten a full preseason workout. I think him and Solari understand each other better now. So very looking forward to Fidel season.
Definitely, as you can hear, Fidel, Christian talking very good things about you.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, yeah, the other who's the other player that you could confuse me with other than Fidel Martinez, right? So. Yeah. It's so funny. I love how I kept getting tagged during the season. Every time he scored a goal.
No, that's it's hilarious. But look, I going back into the game that we're gonna see on Thursday, which by the way is gonna be live on TuneIn, and that's at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. You guys can follow that game live through Twitter with us at UI Podcast. I'll have you guys covered for that whole entire match. So I'm excited to give you guys live coverage on this game. Should be an interesting one. But going into kind of the way that we want this team to play, I think we just want them to piggyback off of what they were doing good last season and what they have been doing good this preseason. And one thing that I've noticed a lot is that Solari really wants this team to be a possession-based team, right? He wants them to be able to not just attack but defend with the ball as well. And I think the players little by little have started becoming more comfortable with that. I think if you remember back to the beginning of the season, Christian, when we were talking about how these players maybe didn't feel so comfortable on the ball, they were making irrational passes. It was very much lateral passing rather than forward passing. And now you're seeing a little bit more daring. They're starting to split the ball a little bit more. They're trying to be a little bit more adventurous with that passing. And it's not so much resetting and then trying to find a shape again like we used to see a lot with Piojo. It's more give and go. And I think that's something that hopefully will develop into something really good, that once we're down the 10th, 11th jornada, we're seeing an America side that is just playing some tiki-taka football, which I think ideally is what Solari wants to see from these players, which I think technically speaking can actually do the role. And I think it's going to fall down to Fidalgo a lot, really, to be able to pull the strings in that midfield. And we'll see whether or not they're capable of doing that. If not, then Fidel, of course, he can strap on the boots and take care of it himself.
I'm on it. Yeah.
But I mean, Fidel's giving us his prediction. Now I'm curious to hear your guys' prediction, and everyone here on the chat as well. Make sure you guys give me your prediction as well. But AJ, what are you going with on Thursday?
I'm going with a 2-0 victory for America. I'm going to see, I'll see a brace from Roger Martinez.
A brace from Roger Martinez. Interesting enough. Okay. Christian, prediction.
I got to copy AJ 2-0.
2-0. Okay, alrighty then. Everyone's feeling adventurous with the 2 goals. I don't see that. I think America walks away with the Corregidora with a 1-0 victory.
The one
It's
nothing.
a
Keep
1-0.
going.
A Solari
Continue
staple
that
on the
streak.
first game. On a Solari staple on the first game. Come on, you can't tell me otherwise. Although Dylan is ready to riot, or at least get the Americanismo
As
rioting.
always.
Dylan's going with a 1-1. Which
Wow.
yeah, that's what I said in my head when I heard that right now.
Pain.
Dylan's going with a 1-1, which let's try not to think about that too much. Jacob saying, I think it's going to be a typical Jornada 1 game. We win it 1-0 from a penalty from Emmanuel Aguilera out of all players. Although it would be, it's not an America game if A, America doesn't get a penalty, B, America doesn't cause the other rival team to get a red card, and C, America somehow ends up winning only by 1 goal and 1 goal only. So should be an interesting one nonetheless. But I think it should ultimately be a fun one. I don't expect this team to just go off and just completely demolish this Querétaro side, because it's still the first game of the season. And yes, this team had a preseason, which I think is something that maybe we didn't have so much. I know we had the Copa, GNP Mexico last season, but that was a whole different situation. But I think it's looking promising. I just want to see progress from the last game that we saw, which was against Tigres, because we didn't see the Atlanta game. I want to see progress from that game to this Querétaro side. And the scoreline necessarily doesn't always have to reflect that. If America doesn't winning 2-1 or 1-0, even if it's just by a 1-goal margin, if we see progress, especially in that midfield that we were talking about, Christian, then I think that's something that Solari will be happy about, and then you kind of just continue and grow from there. So interesting. Should see what happens. Here's a question for you guys. What are we using? Because this is a big debate on Twitter. What are we using? Yellow or blue against Querétaro?
Yellow, because Querétaro's blue.
Querétaro's white.
Yeah, they're white.
They're white.
Yeah.
Blue.
They have a white kit.
Don't they play blue at home though?
I don't know. I haven't kept up with their jersey launches, but I just know that they're gonna have a white kit. I'm thinking it's gonna be yellow too, but there are some people saying that we might wear blue. So, but by the way, though, Fidel, what's your thoughts on the kids? You like them? Don't like them?
I really like it. I really dig it. I think they've just been doing fantastic. Starting back to that third kid, last season was just oof. I personally, I hate that kid because I love it, but I hate it because my dad was the only thing he wanted for his birthday. So tracking one down was so impossible, So, but So I really like it a lot. I'm a big fan of it.
All right, Christian, I know you were definitely, because America debuted the home kit with the ladies on last Sunday, which, by the way, shout out to the ladies, ended up getting that 2-1 victory against Santos Laguna. That kit gives you kind of a really good major throwback vibe, Christian, that you mentioned on the chat, and you were just like, it gives me major throwback vibes. And then, yeah, it really does. It gives you a little bit of I feel like we could do something with this kit, I'm
telling you, man, it's really cool. I saw the back of it when you put up the graphic. I haven't really looked at it like that, and prior to that, I'm like, oh wow, this looks like very 2005-ish, and it brought back a lot of memories. So hopefully we can make more with this jersey.
Definitely.
But I also love how it looks very ancestral, right? Kind of like the third kid did last time. It's sort of like, and I think those designs are just. They've been doing a really good job at making them clean and crisp and not coming off too hokey. I personally love the 98 Mexico World Cup, but it's jersey, but it's so ostentatious. You know what I mean? And this is you almost forget it's a jersey. So
yeah, that's what I've always said. You see me at the club with it. But if it's something that I've always kind of applauded America and Nike for doing is not falling in the trend of let's just whatever the trend is for this season that we're giving to the multiple teams that we have under contract, let's just do that with America. No, America is like they sit down, they're like, this is what we want, this is what we're gonna design, and like you said, they kind of touch to the roots of everything that they stand for, and so they embed it into the kits. I mean, you saw it last season with that third kit. really, really amazing. And kits prior to that as well, they touch on that essence of not just the culture side of things, but the history of the club as well, right? I mean, you got those throwbacks to back, you know, with the 90s and the Kalusha ages 2 seasons ago with that jersey too and everything. So it really is something that I applaud uh, America and Nike for doing, because they don't fall under the same old type of situation. Like if you go to the Premier League, like Brighton and whatever other Nike team they have, it's the simple design that they have going on, and it's just kind of washed and repeat. And even America with their goalkeeper kits, like that they keep them not like the staple of Nike with the other stuff that you could just buy and stuff. So I like it a lot. I like that America is actually adhering to that, and it goes to show that Nike really, really wants to make money out of America. So they make something that is really going to catch the attention. So,
Hey, they definitely got my money. It's like the first time I think in a while I actually bought the home and away kits instantly. I saw it. I'm just like, I mean, hey, I even got one here right now still.
Definitely. Look at that. Which I was about to bring it up, AJ. Why don't you show the people on the stream right now what
Unbox
this
it for us, man.
Unbox it for us. Does it smell like, AJ? Does it smell like glory?
It smells like victory. Yes, it's wonderful.
Does it smell like a semifinals exit?
It smells like a semifinals.
You didn't need to go there. You didn't need to put no juego mis sentimientos.
Well, we hurt the ones that we love the most, right?
That is true.
But man, this jersey, like Christian mentioned, like it just
gives
me
man.
2005 vibes. Yeah, especially when I look at the back now that you think about it. I think I have one of those jerseys that my dad bought me from way back when. I gotta think of it. It's such a beautiful kit. I definitely need to get like a name and a number on this jersey as soon as possible. So, who's that's gonna be? Probably Chucho Lopez. I wish, but
God,
gotta represent.
No, I don't know. Just get Janelli Farias or
Kiana Palacios, but
or Kiana Palacios. Whoever scores a brace first out of both of them.
Bet.
We'll see. But well, nice enough for AJ to unveil that for us, and hopefully you guys have gotten your kit. Looks like Tudene's already. If you guys bought it from the official Club America store here in the States with Tudene, it looks like they started to ship out those already. We'll see when mine comes in the mail. We'll have to wait and see. But not bad, AJ. Not bad whatsoever. But all right. Anything else to add on in regards to the game against Querétaro, or anything in general, gentlemen, before we kind of wrap it all up? No? We're all good? Alrighty then. Oh, by the way, Dylan would like us to know that he bought his today as well, his jersey. Okay. So curious to see as to whether that's going to be the home or the away jersey. Well, find out next week. Maybe he'll send us a picture or something. We'll have to wait and see. But, well, if that does it, then I don't think we'll take anyone's time much further. I do want to say thank you to Fidel for coming on. Thank you so much. Like we mentioned, we've been wanting to have you on for a while, and so glad that you were able to hop on. Great to have you. And I mean, for those people who are listening and maybe not know exactly of what you do, I'd love it for you to tell them exactly what it is that you're doing and what you're doing with the LA Times right now.
Yeah, so I work for the LA Times as an audience engagement editor, and what that means is I was working for the digital strategy side of the sports desk, but I also launched a newsletter called the Latinx Files, and the newsletter is basically just stories about Latinos, Latinx folks, like specifically centering them, and it's a weekly newsletter. It comes out every Thursday, and best of all, it's free. It's basically like the LA Times. This is sort of a broader effort from the LA Times to I think the LA Times is recognizing that Los Angeles is half Latino, and in order for the company to survive, in order for it to have a future, it needs to have more Latino subscribers. And the way that we do that is by, creating story, basically making sure that the content and the stories that we're writing appeal to that audience. So yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Feel free to check it out. It's kind of cool because it is a newsletter. It doesn't go in the paper, so it's a lot more conversational. I it literally is about anything. I've written about the the term Cruz Azulear. Like I had a whole section of it. In fact, when they won, I invited some readers to send memories of what, or send like a little bit of what this victory meant to them. And so, it is. There's a lot of interaction with the readers. I feel like, we are trying to build up this readership. So like letting them know that this is a platform for them is it's like a big component of what we're doing. But yeah, and other than that, I just that's basically like what I'm working on right now.
Definitely, and doing an amazing job, really representing the Latino community out there. And I know you're putting in a big shift, and we just want to say thank you for everything that you do. And glad that you were able to come on and talk America, a little bit of Cowboys, and as to everything else going on in and around.
I thank you so much for inviting me. I think what you guys are doing is great. I think it's you guys and pretty much everyone involved in the Liga MX in English movement. I think you guys are. It's really, you guys are doing God's work. I feel like you guys are setting the foundation for what's to come. I genuinely believe that. It's definitely, without disclosing much, like just know that we've had conversations internally at the LA Times about how and if we should cover Liga MX. And I think you guys have set the foundation for that. So.
No, definitely. Thank you. And I mean, that's all we've ever wanted to do is, we know that this is just, a setting stone, and hopefully soon then we'll pick it up and, build upon it. And, we'll just do our part. We'll, do what we can. And again, you're a big part of the Liga MX English community as well, too. So, thank you for doing your
I just like to, talk trash.
That's about 75% of what the community is about.
What's the commute without a little bit of trash talk?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, again, thank you for that so much for everything. And again, you're more than welcome, and we can't wait to have you on the podcast again because this is definitely fun, and I think the gentlemen agree with us. We agree with me that this was we definitely got to do this again.
Yeah, I'll definitely come. Definitely, you can count on me when it's after the semifinals loss, man. I'll be like, look, I hate to be right. Like I hate being right. Like all joking aside, like this is gonna sound like a brag, and it's not. But I hate how right I am about things. But I am only right about things that are gonna go bad. You know what I mean? It's, like, it's never like good things. Like, oh, this is good things gonna happen. No, it's always bad things. So, Well, I mean, I'll definitely come. I'll definitely come then and commiserate and be like, I told you guys, but it still sucks. It still sucks, So.
No, well, I guess we'll book you down for that day specifically. Then, well, maybe we'll book you when we're previewing the final, then, just so you can be like, yeah, see, you were wrong. But again, no, thank you guys, and thank you to everyone out there who listened, who's watching, and Christian, to AJ, thank you guys so much for everything. We'll be back next week to talk all things America, and this week as well, we're going to be recapping the Lady Águilas and what they did against Santos, and looking forward into the Jornada 2 against Puebla. Correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, then. Well, you guys can get all that information and more on our social media. Again, that's at Eagle Eye Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Live coverage on that game Thursday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. And anything else to add on, gentlemen, before I wrap it up?
No,
Nope.
Thank you, Fidel, once again for coming on. It's been a great experience, and I hope to see you sooner than the semifinal game.
I'm just calling it now, Yeah.
Definitely. All right, then. You guys have a wonderful time. You guys have a good night. Be safe out there. Please wear your mask. And as always, Arriba la América. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.